everybody! Welcome back to Book Talk with Brianne, episode 5. Today I'm going to be talking about The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey. I read this book probably about 2 weeks ago now, so I decided I need to book talk it today or I'm never going to get it done. I really like this book, so I really wanted to talk about it. Okay, so I just tried to film this for like an hour, trying to get out the words that I wanted to say about this book, and I'm struggling. I just took a final this morning. I am very tired, but I really want to talk about this book. So I've got a sheet in which I've written down everything I want to talk about, and I'm just going to go through it in a not very flowing way. So, in The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Carey, we follow this main character, Melanie, and she is an 8-year-old girl. No, she's 10. She's a 10-year-old girl who is treated like she's crap. She lives a very crap life surrounded by people that are really, really mean to her. Every morning when she wakes up, she puts on a white jumpsuit, gets in her chair, and waits to have a gun pointed at her while guards strap her down. From there, she's taken to a classroom where she's met by other kids that are in the exact same situation as her, and there's a teacher in that class. The teachers aren't exactly like teachers. They're more like people who have just been put there to teach these kids, but they can really do whatever they want in there, and it counts as an education for these guys. And that's kind of where we start to question why, first of all, why are these kids all strapped down in chairs, treated like they're crazy? We find out that they get chemical showers that burns their eyes. Once a week they get to eat, and what they do eat is a huge bowl of grubs, where one arm is released so they can eat with a spoon, and it's apparently not a very pretty sight to see. And so one of the teachers in the classroom, her name is Miss Justino, and Melanie loves Miss Justino. She is her whole world. And they're talking, Melody is, and the students are talking to Miss Justino, and they're asking questions about where their parents are. And Miss Justino says, oh, well, all of your moms are dead, and many of your fathers are dead, and the army took you to protect you. And it kind of sounds a little sus, the way she says it, because it marks how clearly uncomfortable she is to answer that question, but not because it's not fun to tell kids their parents are dead, but because she doesn't actually have an answer she can tell them. And so on that day when that happens, she goes up to Melanie and she touches her. And that's a big no-no. She puts her she puts her hand on her head, and she says something nice to her, and you're not allowed to touch these kids. And so the general bursts through the door, and he freaks out. And that's kind of where our story starts to evolve. There's a doctor who's experimenting on the kids, and one day Melody is taken to be experimented on, and she goes out this door, and the world opens up, and it's a whole world of crazy and terrible. So the world has effectively been taken over by like a zombie plague, and the zombies are called hungries. And we later find out that these kids are a special type of hungry that isn't locked in like a zombie-like trance. The hungries will stand still, deadpan, blank staring until they smell humans, and then they spring into action. Whereas the special hungries, which are only kids, are still children, but given the opportunity would eat somebody. Melody fights this urge, and that's really why she's picked as someone who's going to be experimented on. Now, the experiment doesn't go well because all of the hungries from outside break into the facility that this cell is held in. And from there, we follow Melody, the sergeant, Miss Justino, the doctor who's trying to operate on her, and the sergeant's right-hand man. And they go out and try to get to this place called the Beacon, which is kind of around London, where they're hoping to find refuge. From there, a whole bunch of things happen. I'm not explaining it very well, but it was a really, really good book. Melanie was a very interesting perspective to read from, and you do bounce between all of the 5 that we follow, primarily you focus on Melanie, the General, and Miss Justino. I really personally enjoyed, I believe, what was his name? Un moment. Not Sergeant Parks. That's the General. I really liked Gallagher? Gallagher. I think that's his name. I my computer, I'm pulling, Gallagher, yeah. Gallagher's pretty awesome, and he's really, other than Miss Justino, who already has an affinity to Melanie, he starts to really show compassion towards her and treats her like a person rather than some kind of freak. We never gained this level of respect from the Doctor, because she wants to dissect Melanie, but yeah, I'm sorry, I'm so tired. I just wanted to talk about this book. It's really good. I really suggest reading it. I flew through it. I think it's like 400 and something pages. I read it in a day and a half. It held me the entire time. That ending I loved, and I did not expect, and I thought it's very rare that I actually really enjoy an ending to a book. I'm usually pretty dissatisfied. With this, I wouldn't say it was what I wanted to happen, but I really don't know what I wanted to happen anyway, so I think it was like I was given something and it worked. So that's this book. I'm sorry this is a terrible book talk, but I really liked it. I suggest reading it. There is like a second companion novel, which I believe follows a young boy and is set in the same world. I don't think I'm gonna read it. While I did like this book, I think I liked it because I liked Melanie and the characters in it, and I don't feel like reading from some other dude's perspective. But if any of you've read it, let me know if it's good and if it is worth the read. And maybe I'll pick it up. I'm so tired. Anyways, bye-bye! Also, I want to mention this glowing light. If I click on it, it like makes, look how dark it gets. So that's the outside, and welcome to the inside. Anyways.